Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us in downtown Charlottesville from our studio, just a couple of miles from Scott Stadium and the John Paul Jones Arena. The Jerry and Jerry Show airs live wherever you get your social media and podcasting content, and this program encourages you, the viewer and listener, to ask questions and shape the discussion with a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer that's a household name and needs no introduction. His name is Jerry Ratcliffe. His nickname, Hootie. He has accolades, honors, and awards, enough to fill a Hall of Fame, and I get to spend 45 minutes to an hour with him on Tuesdays to talk about a program and an athletic department that I've watched and supported since I was knee-high to my father, an alum of the University of Virginia. This show would not be possible without the hard work of Judah Wickower, who's behind the camera, the Elmer's glue of the team. Everyone needs a stat stuffer, and Judah Wickower is that guy for the Jerry and Jerry Show. If you could, without further ado, Judah, welcome Hootie Ratcliffe to the program with questions already piling in. My friend, good Tuesday morning to you.
Same to you, brother. It's a nice, bright Tuesday morning.
Coming out of the bye week. 17.5-point favorites.
Can't ask for much more than that, can you?
Goodness gracious.
Could become bowl eligible. Could beat the Pac-12 champion, which is I don't know what a kind of a notch is that.
What kind of moniker that's worth?
Yeah, but yeah, it's things are looking good for the Wahoos. That's for sure.
It's a monumental week, not just for Virginia as they've climbed the polls to 18. But it's a significant week for the Atlantic Coast Conference. SMU at Clemson, Duke and Georgia Tech, a rumble of significant proportions in Durham, Louisville and Miami. Louisville's a good football team. Miami, one of the best in the country. A lot of the ACC standings will reflect very differently, ladies and gentlemen, come Sunday morning. We start the program with scatter shooting with Hootie Ratcliffe, as we always do. My friend, the show is yours.
Yeah, there's going to be some shuffling going on this weekend for sure, and I hope I get to see that Duke-Georgia Tech game. That should be a shootout. Should be fun. And, Miami's right there at number 2 in the nation. They're right on the heels of Ohio State waiting for them to slip up. But, yeah, a big week in the ACC and a big week in Charlottesville, seeing if Tony Elliott's team can regain the momentum after a bye week, and they should be able to. We'll talk to him later this morning, but they should be getting some bodies back off of that injured reserve list or whatever you want to call it. But that should bode well for the second half run of the season.
The bye week came at a perfect time for the University of Virginia, a time for healing and health and recovery. We're going to break down the storylines for UVA coming out of the bye week. For the basketball fans that are asking, and I see the comments on the feed, yes, we will discuss the upcoming Vanderbilt and Villanova exhibitions. Hootie Ratcliffe has spent some time with talent on Ryan Odom's roster. We'll highlight that time that Jerry Ratcliffe spent with what may be one of the best front court players in all the country, certainly the ACC. I think that's safe to say. Storylines for you, Hootie, for Virginia coming out of a bye week?
I think a lot of it is going to be just picking up where they left off. I mean, they were playing some really good football. I think beating Louisville on the road is probably their greatest accomplishment, even though Florida State was the headline grabber. But I think Louisville was overall a better football team, and to win in an environment where you struggled in the past and pulling it out in overtime yet again with some big plays, I think gives this team just added confidence that it can play with just about anybody that they're going to run into, and they've got things going their way. And they should, even though Washington State has shown great improvement. I'm fascinated in how they've turned things around. I think they made a change at quarterback, but this was a team that gave up only a few weeks ago gave up back-to-back 59-point losses to North Texas and to Washington. Then they come back and they beat Colorado State, and then come within a hairbreadth of knocking off the number 4 team in the country at Ole Miss last weekend. I watched that game, and Washington State played really good
football.
Played
great football.
They really did. And so, in a way, I'm a little surprised that Virginia is a 17.5-point favorite.
I'm shocked they're 17.5-point favorites.
It's a big spread.
It's a
against a team
spread.
that had a chance of knocking off Ole Miss on the road. I mean, that's no easy task to walk into SEC country and just about, out of the blue, just almost pull off a major upset.
Our chemistry is clicking per usual. 17.5. How much of that has to do with the cross-country trip? Because if this was not, my standpoint, not including a cross-country trip, I don't see how it's 17.5. Washington State, on paper, in the beginning of the season, looked like a cupcake. Washington State is not a cupcake right now.
No, they certainly aren't. And this will be their second cross-country trip in a row, even though Mississippi's only halfway. But still, it's a lot of travel within a week's time period. So, but those guys are young. I don't know. I don't know if it affects them as much as it does other people. But I think that game should have given them confidence that they can play with just about anybody. And I would think they'll come in here prepared and ready to rock.
Comments are already coming in. Viewers and listeners, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. This comment's all over the feed. Florida State's 3-3 overall, 0-3 in conference play. Their head football coach, as Hootie likes to say, goes from penthouse to outhouse. Now the chatter in circles, some circles, has Mike Norvell on the hot seat and potentially getting ousted, especially after last season. The Seminoles are in the bottom of the conference. They are winless. 3-game losing streak. Lost to Pittsburgh. Some of that luster, UVA's win over the Seminoles, it's been lost a little bit.
Yeah, they don't have a very good record against Power 4 teams over the last couple of years either. The climate in college football right now is treacherous. If you're a head coach, look at James Franklin last weekend. That was a surprise.
$48 million buyout.
Yeah, that's huge. Trent Dilfer got fired.
UAB.
I think there's already 8 or 9 college openings, and we're only at the halfway point of the season. So
Belichick is on. Goodness gracious, that seat is burning hot.
You would think so, even though he got the kiss of death this week and the endorsement from the school administration that they're standing behind him. But
Chancellor, the athletic director, their version of the Board of Visitors, at his press conference during the week this week, never a good sign when the school chancellor comes out for your press conference, and the press conference is about reaffirming your commitment to the university when you've just played a handful of weeks of football in your first year.
I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
Right.
That had to raise a few eyebrows, I would think. But they're fighting the negativity going on down there. The players are claiming that the locker room's not divided, even though there's been reports to the contrary. And it's just, I guess they're trying to keep it from becoming a circus. And I'm sure he's trying to keep things together, because one of the things that ADs look for when they dismiss a coach is, have you lost the locker room or not? And I have a feeling that may be what happened at Penn State after back-to-back upsets against UCLA and Northwestern. He may have lost that team.
You got the Nebraska head coach on a short list to replace James Franklin at Penn State. There's scuttlebutt and rumor mill with Mike Tomlin, the Steelers head coach, on the short list as the next Penn State head coach. I'm not buying that.
No.
I don't see Tomlin leaving the black and gold to go to Penn State. He's got the support of his ownership in Pittsburgh. Why would he ever leave that? Most tenured coach in the National Football League.
He'd be crazy.
He'd be crazy to do that.
Yeah.
the Penn State opening is monumental, and it speaks to this. It's a microcosm of the ratcheted up pressure of college football as big money, as private equity has entered into college football. Franklin's buyout, $48 million. Never would we have considered 5 years ago, before COVID, a decade ago, that Franklin would be canned midseason with a $48 million buyout. Now as private equity money and billions and billions in TV revenue is the driving force of college football, these buyouts are small potatoes.
Well, you're right about that. And there's so much big money behind all these major college programs. And, it doesn't take a lot for things to go sideways. And if you're caught in the middle of that, you can become a victim pretty easily. We've seen some crazy things happen already, and I think we'll probably see some more before the season progresses.
Bill McChesney, welcome to the broadcast. Lauren and Ivy, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for watching the show. Folks in Richmond, Virginia Beach, Newport News, Northern Virginia, Southwestern Virginia, all over Charlottesville and Crozet watching the program, Eastern Tennessee on the program, Pennsylvania on the program, North Carolina, South Carolina on the program. If you had to buy or sell the Florida State head football coach, keeping his job, entering next season, where's your money on?
I have a feeling I would sell. Unless he can do a monumental reversal here, they've got too much talent to continue to lose at this pace, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to turn it around and make them a viable competitor in the conference of any meaningful aspect, because like you said, they've already lost 3 in a row, and I haven't looked at their schedule, but I'm sure they have some pretty tough games remaining to be played in the second half. So this is not what they spent all that money for down there, and made all the noise about leaving the ACC and demanding more money because they get more eyes on their games via TV. But there's plenty of money amongst that booster group, and they don't mind flaunting it, and as they did when they said, well, we'll pay our exit fee or whatever it takes. But it's no joke. I mean, they bought out 2 coaches in 3 years down there before they brought in Norvell, and so unless he can get things turned around in a hurry, I can't see him sticking around.
Norvell's lost to Virginia and Charlottesville on national TV, loses to the Miami Hurricanes, arch rival on national TV, loses at home to Pittsburgh, the Panthers, this past week, and Pittsburgh is 4-2, 2-1 in conference play. Florida State is 3-3 overall, 0-3 in conference play, bottom of the Atlantic Coast Conference, right there with the Boston College Eagles. Florida State to close the season at Stanford, ladies and gentlemen. They then host Wake Forest. They travel to Clemson, have Virginia Tech at home, and then they finished at NC State and against in-state rival Florida, at Florida in the Swamp to close the campaign. Mike Norvell, his seat as hot as any in college football right now. And it's a significant week for the Atlantic Coast Conference. We will talk SMU at Clemson. We will talk Georgia Tech at Duke. Georgia Tech and Duke, a battle of 2 undefeated ACC teams. Georgia Tech 3-0 in conference play. Duke 3-0 in conference play. We'll get to that in a matter of moments. Before we get to that, an offensive tackle at the University of Virginia has been dismissed from the team.
Yeah, not much explanation about that. Just it was a team violations rule. Wallace Unamba, one of the right tackles that they brought in. Again, it was essentially just a 1-sentence statement that he had been dismissed from the team. So I don't know that it's going to hurt him because he hasn't played. It does take away from depth. I think they were expecting to get him back maybe this week, along with some other bodies on the offensive line. But I don't know that that's going to make any difference in the way they operate because especially if they've got some other people healthy and returning to the lineup. But it does send a message to the team that you can go by the rules or you're gone.
Can you have the best memory, follow this program better than anyone. When's the last time you remember a football player, UVA, being dismissed in the middle of the season?
That's a good question. No time recently, that's for sure.
I don't think it's happened under the Tony Elliott era, has it?
Not that I recall. If it was, I don't think it was anybody of any significance. But it's been a while, I think, since they've essentially dismissed somebody from the team.
The football team, Tony Elliott, his staff, they chased this kid. This kid, was it a Kentucky commitment? Then they flip-flopped on Kentucky. Did he previously play at New Mexico, if memory serves correctly?
I believe that's correct.
This was a coveted tackle.
He's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
I think he struggled with some weight issues. I think he was up around 350 at one time, and they were asking him to lose weight. But haven't heard much else about him except that he had been working to get back healthy enough to play, and that's essentially about all we hear about him is that they had hoped to have him back for the second half run, but that's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Chandler Morris, clear leader of this football team, has an opportunity to get healthy. We'll get to the comments that are coming in. Other storylines you're following with this football team coming out of the bye. My standpoint, it's more of the same. Stay committed to running the football. You have a stable of horses. Use running the football to keep your quarterback safe and upright and protected in the pocket. The ability to play action. Once the run is respected, the safety has to keep an eyes on the tailback. Chandler Morris becomes a weapon in the pocket, out of the pocket, rolling right, rolling left. Got to keep that guy healthy. And goodness gracious, this defense seems to me to have a lot of upside here, especially with the return of some talent.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed all those points, and that's exactly what they need to do is just keep doing what they've done and do it well. And, yeah, I think the defense took a couple of steps forward the last few weeks. A little bit against Florida State, probably a lot more against Louisville. Kept Miller Moss, the Louisville quarterback, pretty much under control and shut down Louisville's running game. Of course, both the running backs were not 100%, which helped. And the one thing that was hurting Virginia in the first half of that game, the wide receiver they had, Chris Bell, he had like 9 catches in the first half for a lot of yardage, and they couldn't stop him, and so I think they started double teaming him, and then turned up the pressure on Moss and blitzed him and did some twists and stuff that maybe confused him and made him commit a couple of mistakes, a couple of interceptions, and they essentially shut Bell down. He did make one great catch in the second half, but they effectively took away the one thing that was hurting them badly, and that's a sign of a good defense.
As this question's on the feed, do you think the Washington State game could be a trap game?
Well, yeah, it could be. I have a feeling that after watching the way they played at Ole Miss, that it probably woke Virginia up if they thought they were going to just walk over these guys. Ole Miss might not be as good as advertised, one of the top 5 teams in the country, but they're pretty darn good. And to go in and battle them to the wire like they did, with a chance to win at the end, was no easy task. And I'm sure that opened some eyes on Virginia's football team when they went over the scouting reports and the film. I don't think they'll take these guys lightly.
Virginia, ladies and gentlemen, has a matchup against Washington State. They're a 17.5-point favorite, number 18 in the nation. The only unfortunate aspect of this contest is the fact that this game is on the CW. 6:30 kickoff Saturday
night. Not your favorite, is it?
I effing hate the CW. It is even difficult to figure out a way to live stream at my house, and I got this full setup. I effing hate the CW. And it's difficult for a 6:30 game with two young boys, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, to make it to the contest when you go to a lot of games with the better half carrying a lot of the weight at home with the children. So figuring out how to watch this game is even difficult. But Virginia's in a driver's seat right now to go, I can't believe I'm saying this, 6-1, bowl eligible if they beat Washington State at 6-1. If a couple of things also go the right way, we know either Duke or Georgia Tech is going to lose, right? So
somebody's got to lose.
One of them are going to lose that game. SMU right now is an underdog at Clemson. So that means Virginia could come out of this contest 6-1, 3-0 in conference play, and Hootie tied for first place in the Atlantic Coast Conference with either Duke or Georgia Tech. I mean, this is a storybook.
They couldn't have been set up any better, that's for sure. When we saw the schedule early in the season, it looked a little more difficult than what it's turned out to be, and it still could be. There's some of those teams in the second half are no jokes. Wake, Cal, Duke have all played really well at times. The Hokies, who knows what they're going to be like by the end of the season. They'll either be on a rise or totally destroyed.
Never count out Virginia Tech against UVA.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. And so, but you're right. I mean, they're set up for incredible success, and we talked about it, I think, the last show. But if they win 9 or 10 games, there's only a handful of teams in Virginia football history that's been able to do that. Only one that's won 10. And not a ton of teams have won 9 games. It's a high water mark that these guys can reach, and it's something that every coach since I've been here, since the George era started, have strived to I don't know how many times they've had a chance to win 9 games, and the coaches were really stressing that, or even 10, and it's been hard to do. So they have some an incredible challenge, but an incredible possibility lying ahead of them.
If Tony Elliott gets to double-digit wins, Tony Elliott's not just the Atlantic Coast Conference Coach of the Year, but he's on the short list for National Coach of the Year.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Because he's coming off 3 years where he's posted the least amount of victories in any of all power football.
And he could get a contract extension.
Because,
if Virginia doesn't protect him, then, other people will come looking. There's a lot of openings out there, and there's going to be a lot more.
I can't believe I'm saying this, and our chemistry is clicking again. If Tony Elliott gets double-digit wins, plays in an ACC championship and a major bowl, is Tony Elliott seduced and romanticized by other programs?
Well, probably. I mean, if you turn Virginia around, that's an accomplishment, because they've been downtrodden for 6 years and haven't had a whole lot to crow about in the last 15 or 20 years. So I'm sure ADs out there who are forming short lists I'm sure Virginia is on their radar, what he's been able to accomplish here. So I would think somebody who's shopping at least give him a look.
Unbelievable time, guys. What a complete about face.
Something you never thought you'd be saying.
I'm having a hard time even getting the words out.
Because beginning last year.
It's exactly right, Hootie. Exactly right. Bill McChesney has got comments, and comments are coming in quickly. He says, oh, by the way, the Running Rebels of UNLV are 6-0 on the season.
Yeah.
And Anthony Calandria looks like he's a golden-armed quarterback.
The hammered Air Force this past weekend. Yeah, he's putting up some big numbers, and I'm happy for him. I think that's great. He's a great kid, and I'm glad to see him doing well out there. And it's fun seeing him take a team like UNLV and doing what he's been able to do out there, undefeated, and again putting up some big numbers.
Anthony Calandria, ladies and gentlemen, is putting up some significant numbers. I still think we got the better quarterback with Chandler Morris. Anthony Calandria, the upside on him was the extra years of eligibility versus Chandler. Regardless, Anthony Calandria, I am happy he's having success. 10 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. He's taking care of the football. That was his question mark in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
1,400 yards passing, averaging basically 9 yards a throw. And again, Anthony Calandria is a menace while running the football. 5 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns, 3 trips to pay dirt while rushing the football. This guy's accounted for, ladies and gentlemen, 13 touchdowns, Anthony Calandria, and he's got his football team unblemished through the halfway point of the season.
Well, he spent some of his summer at John Gruden's place down in Tampa, and along with several other quarterbacks. And I know that Gruden liked what he saw in him, and I think he challenged him to, because that job was not his. He had to earn that in camp. They brought in another guy after they signed him, and I think the other guy actually started.
He started week 1.
Yeah.
Anthony Calandria was the backup.
Yeah, and so I think Gruden challenged him and told him, you got to go out and win this job, and probably gave him a lot of tips and stuff on how to do that. And he took it to heart, and you know, hats off to him for winning that job. I do agree. I would still prefer to take Chandler Morris because he's getting it done against better competition. I don't think UNLV has faced a whole lot of really high-powered opponents at this point, but I like Chandler Morris and what he's done here.
Yeah, and on the Calandria note, I never speak for Hootie, but the man is of tremendous character, huge heart. I'm happy for Calandria.
Oh, I am too.
I have no ill will to Calandria. Why Calandria left with how he was mistreated at the end of the season, being a teenager and a young adult, I totally understand it.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a sophomore. I think he was yet to mature as a quarterback, and he was thrown into the fire as a true freshman.
Yeah. And was made to be the scapegoat in some ways.
In some ways he was, but I didn't think they did him right at the end of the season last year. I don't blame him for leaving. I wish him well. I had what little relationship you're able to have with players these days. I enjoyed being around him and thought he was a high-character kid and a good kid, and I wish him the best. I hope they go 12-0.
Same. UNLV in the receiving votes portion of both polls, the AP and the coaches poll, guys, they get a victory. UNLV is going to be in the top 25. Hootie, we got to talk ACC matchups. Significant week for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Perhaps we start with Georgia Tech and Duke. Crazy line here, but hey, they keep building casinos, so they obviously know something that a guy like me that just has a microphone and follows college football does not know. But the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech, number 12 in the nation, travel to Duke. They'll face a Blue Devil football team that's got some talent. Duke is a 2.5-point favorite on a nationally televised game, Saturday, ESPN, 12 o'clock kick. 2.5-point favorite.
I was a little surprised by that. And I know Georgia Tech opened up as as early, I think, a 1.5 point favorite or a 2.5 point favorite. I can't recall, but I was a little surprised. I thought Georgia Tech might, as far as the overall team, might be just a hair better. The game is in Durham, but I don't know that that's a huge home field advantage, and it never has been.
Right.
I mean, the people just don't show up, and I haven't looked at their attendance this year, but in years past, it's been dismal. It's just not a great atmosphere to support your home team. But Georgia Tech, to me, it's all Haynes King. I like that kid. He's a really tough quarterback. Not only can he throw it, he's really good at running the football, and he always seems to come up with the big play when they need it. Their running game is solid. They have some good receivers. They have a pretty decent defense. It's nothing elaborate offensively, but it's enough to get the job done. Duke, I'm sure, with their quarterback, who's a transfer from Tulane, is going to fling it all over the place. They also have a pretty decent running game and a defense that makes some big plays. They force turnovers, but it's going to come down to which quarterback is having the better game, I think. And it's hard for me to go against Haynes King. I just love that kid. I love the way he plays football, and he just always finds a way to get it done. But the other guy can throw it. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's. I'm with you. But obviously, somebody knows something.
Somebody knows something
For this line to move like it's moved.
Yeah.
Now, the positive of Georgia Tech and Duke is that Georgia Tech is 6-0. They're 3-0 in conference play. Duke is 4-2, 3-0 in conference play. Whoever loses this game gets their first loss in the ACC. Virginia is not playing a conference game. So that means following this week, Virginia will be atop the ACC standings with either Duke or Georgia Tech, and potentially, actually, Georgia Tech or Duke would be 4-0. So Virginia would be in the second slot because UVA is 3-0. Do Virginia fans have a favorite or a dog in the fight here that they should pull for at 12 o'clock on Saturday, Duke or Georgia Tech?
Well, I think they would probably hope that
Duke
wins because they get a chance to play Duke, and they don't play Georgia Tech. So at least their fate would be in their own hands.
Right, and it's a more significant win if they beat Duke.
True.
I see it the same way. I think we both are picking Georgia Tech to win that one.
I am. I just think, again, I think Haynes King will be the difference.
How about the SMU-Clemson matchup? This is another intriguing matchup. Clemson is desperate. Clemson is desperate to win here. Phone's blowing up. Commenters are coming in quickly here. Clemson's an 8.5-point favorite. SMU is unblemished in ACC play, 4-2 overall, 2-0 in conference play. Clemson's fighting for their playoff lives at 3-3 and 2-2 in conference play.
They're fighting for respectability and fighting for their own fan base to
their coach.
and yeah. I mean, if James Franklin can get fired, anybody can get fired, I would think. So if Clemson's going to turn it around, they have to do it this weekend. There's no question about it. If they lose this game, they're in trouble. And they just haven't been impressive. Even though they beat Chapel Bill in a lopsided game. I can't remember who they played last week.
I'll pull that up.
But they have to win this game. It's a statement game for them, and usually they are pretty good at statement games. And if they lose this one, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble.
Clemson, guys, is in a whirl of hurt. Now, if they beat SMU, you have a position right here, a chance right here to potentially turn the season around. Clemson's got SMU, they got Duke, they got Florida State, Louisville, Furman, and South Carolina to close the season. So you have a chance right there to potentially, if you run the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Still two non-conference games.
Two non-conference games. Yeah. To finish 9-3. Anything can happen at this point of the season. I'm sure Debu's got the Tigers thinking that they could contend for an ACC championship. Let me get to some of these comments. James Madison's watching the program. He wants to know, is there any news or other injuries, updates that you can provide coming out of the bye week?
They had a couple of injuries in that game, but with Mikael Boley got hurt early in the game, and Dakota Twitty, the tight end, got injured and came out in crutches for the second half. We'll get updates on those at today's presser with Tony, which is at 11:30. But we don't have any contact with the coaches or the program during bye week, and so they don't put out any news about that until the press conference, and we'll find out about that today. It'll be on my website later today.
Wesley Kinchelo, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, watching from Waynesboro. He's got a similar question. Philip Dow's watching in Nags Head, loves the program, watching in Nags Head right now.
Yeah, we love Nags Head.
Well, can't beat Nags Head. Love Nags Head as well, Philip. Louisville and Miami, Friday night. Hurricanes, 13.5-point favorite.
I think Miami will prevail. They're just solid. I don't see any weaknesses on that team, even though they allowed Florida State to come back in the fourth quarter last week. But Miami's solid. They have a really good offense and a good defense. They have a Heisman candidate quarterback, plenty of firepower. I just don't think Louisville's going to be able to match up with them for 60 minutes. I think Miami will win that game. What was the point spread?
13, let me confirm here. I think it's 13.5.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, hold on. I just mentioned it. That is 13.5 for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll win by that much. Although, who knows? If they get things going early, and if Louisville's running backs are still injured, they could possibly blow them out if they get a couple of turnovers. But otherwise, it could be a little tighter game.
And ladies and gentlemen, basketball exhibitions against Villanova,
Oops is here.
Villanova, and Vanderbilt. JerryRatcliffe.com's got all the basketball coverage. You sat down with players, Hootie.
I got the great pleasure of interviewing their two big international studs, Johan Grunlow, the 19-year-old freshman 7-footer, and Tess DeRitter, who is a monster. I mean, I had not seen him before Friday, and got to see them work out some and play a little bit. But that guy is 6'8", 248, and he is a moose. And how anybody is going to be able to stop him is beyond my wildest dreams, because he's a complete package. Grunlow is young and raw, and even though he's played against some grown men over in Europe the last year or two, he's still got a ways to go, but I think he can hold his own with the American players. He's been going up against, like he said, there were some times where they wouldn't let him do much down low, because he's going up against a 260-pound 30-year-old, and that's not an easy task when you're 18, 19, and just trying to form your game. But he's going to be good, and those two guys are difference makers, and I think that's one of the reasons that Virginia's basketball team is going to be really good this year, because they got two studs in the front court.
The basketball team not preseason top 25. Surprise you?
I thought it could go either way, and I don't get excited much about preseason polls. They're usually more wrong than they are right. You might get the top few right, but beyond that, it's just anybody's guess pretty much. and you're going a lot off of last year's history. And
There's no
this
history.
year it's even crazier because everybody's rosters has changed so dramatically. It's not like it used to be when you had a good idea who's coming back for each team. But I quoted Seth Greenberg in a story today where he said that he agrees preseason polls and preseason conference polls. He didn't give a crap about them because the only person that really knows how good you are the coaches who are with them day in and day out in practice and can see what they can do. And so if don't put much stock into the top 25 preseason poll. It doesn't mean really anything.
It's a basketball season. Are we going to, last question on for the show. He's got a press conference with Tony Elliott. Anything we can take from the Villanova Vanderbilt exhibitions?
I think so. I don't know that we'll get to see him unless you're there in person, but I know the Vanderbilt game is not on any kind of TV, and I don't think the Villanova game is either. But Ryan Adams is going to get a chance to see what his team can do against other competitions. Like he said, we go against each other, but we know each other's habits, and we know each other's strengths and vulnerabilities. We're going to see what that's like against somebody else who has their own strengths. And so I think it'll tell him a lot. I don't know if it'll tell fans a lot, but I think it'll tell the coaching staff a lot about who's ready and who's not and what combinations might work and can they press as well as they hope to full court and various other aspects of the game like that, so they can get ready for the real stuff.
Jerry Ratcliffe, Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, jerryratcliffe.com. Beautiful time to be a Virginia fan as this hybrid basketball and football season. Tough for content creators. Great and tough. Busy time.
Yeah, it's going to get real busy.
Yeah, it's going to be really busy. It's going to be really busy. Jerry Ratcliffe, the source for anything Virginia-related, jerryratcliffe.com. He is off to a Tony Elliott press conference at 11:30. Judah Wickhauer behind the camera. My name is Jerry Miller, and the I Love CVille show, guys, is up at 12:30. So long, everybody. Nicely done, Hootie.
Thank you, brother. Same to you. Judah, you.